Imagine being designed for a single purpose, your very thoughts and loyalties subtly predetermined. That was the reality for every clone trooper, and their silent indoctrination had ripple effects far beyond any battle. This video will uncover how their programmed minds didn't just win wars, they irrevocably altered the course of galactic history. Think about it. Every one of them, millions strong, was born from a single template. Chagao. Fett. They were bred for obedience and combat. Their very existence, a weapon in the Grand Army of the Republic. From the moment they were decanted on Kamino, their lives were a regimented cycle of training, simulations, and lessons on strategy. But something more insidious was at play. Something quiet, unseen, and utterly devastating. What if I told you their minds weren't their own? What if every single one of them, from the highest-ranking commander to the newest rookie, was a ticking time bomb? A tool of ultimate destruction, waiting for a single word to be spoken? For years, we watched the Clone Wars unfold. We saw heroic clones like Captain Rex, Commander Cody, and Fives. They were our heroes. They fought for the Republic, for the Jedi, and for a cause they believed in. We saw them demonstrate individuality, loyalty, and even defiance. Fives, in particular, was a beacon of free will. He discovered the terrible secret embedded in their DNA, a biochip designed to force them to execute. Order 66, to betray and murder the very Jedi they fought alongside. He tried to warn them, to reveal the truth, but his efforts were tragically cut short. The Republic, and even the Jedi, dismissed him as a traitor. They couldn't or wouldn't believe the depth of the conspiracy. But Fives was right. His discovery wasn't a delusion, it was a horrifying fact, and his sacrifice was not in vain. It showed us that even a programmed mind could fight back, but it also showed us the terrible power of that programming. The fact that a single, subtle command could override years of brotherhood, friendship, and loyalty. This wasn't just a physical battle plan, it was a psychological one. A genius-level maneuver by Darth Sidious to ensure his victory. He didn't just need an army to win the war, he needed a perfect instrument to destroy his enemies and seize control of the galaxy. The clones were that instrument. Their unwavering discipline, their tactical brilliance, their unwavering belief in their duty. All of it was a facade. A carefully constructed illusion designed to hide the most crucial part of their programming. The Jedi thought they had found the perfect allies. Warriors, without greed, without ambition. Just pure dedication to the Republic. But in their hubris, they failed to see the warning signs. The clones were too perfect. They were the ultimate soldiers, loyal to a cause, yes, but even more loyal to a single, unseen master. Imagine being in their position. You've fought side by side with your Jedi General for years. You've trusted them with your life, and they've trusted you with theirs. You've shared stories around campfires, mourned fallen comrades, and celebrated victories together. Your loyalty runs deeper than any genetic code. It's forged in the fires of war. Then, a single word, execute. The connection you felt, the bond you had, all of it is wiped away in an instant. Your hand, once extended in friendship, now grips a blaster aimed at a friend's back. Your mind, once filled with shared memories, is now a blank slate, focused only on the command to kill. It's not your choice. It's not your will. It's a core directive that overrides everything you believed you were. This is the tragedy of the clone troopers. They were a force of good, a symbol of hope for the Republic. But they were also the perfect pawns in a villain's master plan. Their legacy isn't just one of victories on the battlefield. It's a legacy of betrayal, of a galaxy changed forever by a secret embedded in the minds of its most loyal soldiers. They were not just an army, they were a prophecy. A chilling glimpse into the future of a galaxy that would soon fall under the thumb of a brutal empire. So, the next time you watch the Clone Wars, don't just see the heroes. Don't just see the battles. Look closer. Look at the unwavering discipline. Look at their silent obedience. And remember the silent, deadly program running beneath the surface, waiting for the one word that would end it all. It was their fate, but it was also the galaxy's. Have you ever stopped to truly consider the lives of the clone troopers? Not just as brave soldiers, but as living, breathing individuals designed for a single, overarching purpose. Their very existence, their thoughts, and their unwavering loyalty were not a product of organic development or personal choice. They were a meticulously crafted blueprint, designed from their inception on the pristine world of Kamino. This wasn't merely about creating an army, it was about engineering the very fabric of galactic destiny, the genesis of obedience, Kaminoan cloning and genetic engineering. Commissioned by a mysterious benefactor later revealed to be the Sith Lord, Darth Sidious, their task was to produce a fighting force unlike any other, millions of identical soldiers, each patterned after the renowned bounty hunter Jango Fett. But their work extended far beyond mere biological duplication. According to Republic intelligence dossiers compiled during the early Clone Wars, the Kaminoans boasted of genetic tampering to ensure docility and obedience. Reference: Star Wars, Attack of the Clones, deleted scenes, concept art notes. While this was presented to the Jedi as a means of controlling a large army and preventing rebellion, the true depth of this manipulation was far more insidious. These weren't just fast-grown men, they were carefully engineered tools with specific parameters coded into their very being. Think about the scale of this. Millions of individuals, each subjected to an identical accelerated maturation process that compressed 2 decades of human development into a mere 10 years. This alone would place immense strain on a developing mind, but the Kaminoans, true to their meticulous nature, didn't leave loyalty to chance. Subtle, psychological conditioning, engineering the mind. Beyond genetic predispositions, the clone troopers underwent extensive and constant psychological conditioning from their earliest moments of consciousness. This wasn't about teaching them right from wrong, or even standard military ethics. It was about instilling an unquestioning adherence to orders and a deeply ingrained sense of duty to the Republic, or, more accurately, to the figures who represented the Republic at the highest level. Reports from clandestine Jedi investigations, particularly those led by Jedi Master Shaak Ti on Kamino, as referenced in Star Wars, The Clone Wars Season 6, The Lost Missions, hinted at unusual behavioral patterns among the clone cadets. These included subliminal messaging. During their accelerated growth cycles, and even in their sleep, clones were exposed to carefully crafted audio-visual stimuli. This included constant reinforcement of phrases like, "Good soldiers follow orders," "Loyalty is paramount," and "The Jedi are protectors." This wasn't overt propaganda, it was designed to bypass conscious thought and embed directives directly into their subconscious. Sensory deprivation and controlled environments. Cadets spent significant time in regulated environments, often in isolation pods, limiting external influences and making them more susceptible to the prescribed conditioning. This controlled upbringing ensured that their worldview was exclusively shaped by Kaminoan and Republic-approved narratives. Repetitive indoctrination modules. Their education wasn't just about combat drills. It included dedicated modules on obedience, chain of command, and the absolute necessity of following directives, no matter the personal cost. Every lesson, every simulation, every interaction was carefully calibrated to reinforce these core tenets. This subtle, pervasive conditioning was the true blueprint of their loyalty. It wasn't about convincing them through reason or belief. It was about hardwiring their minds for compliance. The foundation of unquestioning loyalty, a double-edged blade. The result of this meticulous early programming was a foundational, almost instinctual loyalty. It manifested in their unwavering dedication to their Jedi generals, their bravery in battle, and their deep bonds of brotherhood. They called each other brother, fought for one another, and often displayed remarkable individuality and strategic thinking in the chaos of war. Figures like CT-5555's Fives stand as stark testaments to the inherent human spirit that could, against all odds, push back against this programming. Fives uncovered the existence of inhibitor chips, biochips implanted in their brains, later revealed to be the mechanism for Order 66 reference, Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Season 6, Orders. His desperate attempts to expose this truth, however, highlight the overwhelming power of the conditioning. Even as Fives presented irrefutable evidence, the ingrained loyalty to the Republic, combined with the Jedi's own blind spots, made his warnings almost impossible to accept. The chips were the ultimate override, designed to circumvent any individually developed loyalty or moral compass. This engineered loyalty was the cornerstone of the Grand Army's success. It meant that amidst galactic chaos, there was a unified, disciplined force that would execute orders without question. But this very strength harbored a catastrophic weakness, a silent failsafe. The Jedi, in their trust, mistook the programmed loyalty for organic allegiance, fatally underestimating the depth of the Sith Lord's conspiracy. Irrevocably altering galactic history, the inevitable fall. The ultimate, devastating consequence of this blueprint of loyalty was Order 66. When Palpatine uttered that single, chilling command, the meticulously engineered obedience took hold. Millions of clones who had fought alongside and revered the Jedi turned their blasters on their commanders without hesitation or remorse. It was a betrayal on a scale previously unimaginable, executed with cold, mechanical precision. The fall of the Jedi Order, the swift collapse of the Republic, and the rise of the Galactic Empire were not merely the result of superior strategy or overwhelming force. They were the direct consequence of a loyalty that was never truly earned, but rather meticulously programmed into the very fabric of an entire army. The clone troopers, initially hailed as the saviors of the Republic, became the instruments of its destruction, their programmed minds irrevocably altering the course of galactic history. Their story is a powerful reminder that even the most well-intentioned tools can be turned into weapons, and that true loyalty must always be earned, not engineered. You've heard about their programmed minds, about the subtle conditioning that defined their very essence. But how did this meticulous engineering translate into raw, overwhelming power on the battlefield? How did a hidden blueprint for loyalty become the very backbone of the Republic's war effort? It boils down to one critical factor: unwavering programmed obedience, which unlocked unprecedented military efficiency and swift tactical execution. Unprecedented military efficiency and swift execution. Imagine an army of millions, each unit responding with near-perfect synchronization, executing complex maneuvers without hesitation or the need for extensive deliberation. That was the Grand Army of the Republic. Their training, honed on Kamino's cloning facilities, imbued them with a level of discipline that traditional armies could only dream of. Flawless unit cohesion. From the smallest squad of 8 troopers, reference Star Wars, The Clone Wars lore, to entire battalions, clone units operated as a single, formidable entity. Unlike separatist droids, which relied on central processing, clones could adapt and react with tactical intelligence, yet always within the parameters of their orders. This allowed for fluid battlefield maneuvers, rapid deployment, and a seamless chain of command, even in the most chaotic engagements. Rapid deployment and adaptability. Clone forces could be deployed across vast interstellar distances with astonishing speed. Their training prepared them for diverse environments, from the icy plains of Ryloth to the dense jungles of Felucia, ensuring they could engage the enemy effectively regardless of terrain. This adaptability, combined with their instant obedience, meant the Republic could react to separatist threats with unmatched agility. This disciplined efficiency wasn't just a combat advantage, it was a strategic cornerstone. Every order given was an order executed, often with minimal casualties due to superior coordination, even when outnumbered by the Confederacy's vast droid armies. Reference Star Wars: The Essential Guide to Warfare. The clones were the ultimate instrument for a war that spanned the galaxy, ensuring that the Republic's will was enforced with chilling precision. Incorruptible enforcers, beyond ambition or bias. What truly set the clone troopers apart from any conventional fighting force was their inherent lack of individual ambition or political bias. They were not born into aristocratic families vying for power, nor were they susceptible to bribes, fear, or the allure of personal glory. Their singular purpose was to serve the Republic, a purity of intent that made them ideal, seemingly incorruptible enforcers. Duty. Above all else, clones were bred and conditioned to prioritize their mission and the Republic above all else. This meant they would carry out even the most dangerous or ethically ambiguous orders without question. This unwavering focus eliminated the internal dissent, politicking, and personal agendas that often plagued traditional military organizations. They didn't care about a general's popularity, a senator's influence, or a planet's political leaning. They cared about completing the objective. No personal stakes, lacking families, personal possessions beyond basic gear and trinkets, or pre-existing loyalties outside the Grand Army, clones had no external distractions. This allowed them to dedicate themselves entirely to the war effort, making them reliable, predictable, and utterly devoted to the strategic directives of the Republic and their Jedi generals. This wasn't merely a philosophical stance, it was a fundamental aspect of their engineered existence. This unique characteristic made them invaluable to the Republic's war effort, a tool perfectly suited to a conflict that required unwavering dedication and absolute obedience. Programmed discipline in action, decisive victories. The Battle of Ryloth. Reference: Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Season 1, Storm over Ryloth. And Innocence of Ryloth, this multi-front campaign against separatist occupation, perfectly showcased clone efficiency. On the ground, clone units, led by figures like Commander Cody and Captain Rex, executed complex liberation strategies, adapting to the Twi'lek resistance and the planet's harsh terrain. Simultaneously, in orbit, clone pilots demonstrated incredible skill and formation flying to break the separatist blockade. Their coordinated assaults, combining ground invasions with surgical strikes from the air, quickly turned the tide against the entrenched separatist forces. The defense of Camino. Reference: Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Season 3, ARC Troopers. When Grievous and Ventress launched a surprise attack on the cloning facilities themselves, the clones fought to protect their very home. This battle highlighted their tactical prowess and self-preservation instincts despite their programmed expendability. ARC troopers, along with regular clone battalions, defended the platforms with precise maneuvers, adapting to enemy infiltrators and deploying defensive positions with remarkable speed and coordination, ultimately repelling the invasion and securing the Republic's vital cloning resource. The Siege of Mandalore. Reference: Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Season 7, Old Friends Not Forgotten, and The Phantom Apprentice. This late war campaign stands as a testament to their unwavering discipline. Despite the Republic's resources being stretched thin by the ongoing Battle of Coruscant, Ahsoka Tano and the newly formed 303 Second Company, part of the 501st Legion, spearheaded the liberation of Mandalore. The clones executed intricate urban warfare tactics against Maul's Mandalorian supercommandos, demonstrating flawless unit cohesion and tactical adaptability in a complex, multi-layered conflict. Their precise movements and ability to follow shifting objectives, even in the absence of a Jedi general, as Ahsoka was no longer officially part of the Jedi Order, underscored how ingrained their discipline had become. These examples, among many others, paint a clear picture. The clone troopers were not just soldiers, they were highly sophisticated, strategically obedient instruments. Their engineered loyalty and unwavering discipline ensured that when a command was given, it was executed with maximum efficiency, making them an unparalleled force in galactic history. The legacy of their strategic obedience is complex. While it brought countless victories to the Republic, it also paved the way for the galaxy's darkest hour, proving that the most effective weapon can sometimes be a mind completely devoid of its own free will. You've seen the battles won through strategic obedience, the unwavering loyalty that defined the clone troopers. But lurking beneath that perfect facade was a darker truth, a silent mechanism designed for the ultimate betrayal. The culmination of Palpatine's grand design wasn't just a war, it was a carefully laid trap activated by a single, chilling command, Order 66. The precision of betrayal. Order 66's activation. Order 66 was not an external mind control device deployed in real time. Instead, it was a pre-programmed, dormant directive embedded within every clone trooper from their very genesis. This critical detail fundamentally reshapes our understanding of the Jedi Purge. Deep within the brain of each clone was an inhibitor chip, a small organic cybernetic implant. Reference: Star Wars, The Clone Wars Season 6, The Lost Missions. These chips were secretly placed during their embryonic development on Kamino, a hidden failsafe designed by Darth Sidious in collaboration with the Kaminoans. For years, these chips lay dormant, serving a secondary purpose of dampening aggression and ensuring compliance, but their true function was far more sinister. When Chancellor Palpatine, revealing himself as Darth Sidious, issued the command, "Execute Order 66, it triggered these chips. The protocol was specific. In the event of Jedi officers acting against the interests of the Republic, and after receiving specific orders verified as coming directly from the Supreme Commander, Chancellor, GAR, Grand Army of the Republic." This wasn't a suggestion, it was an irresistible neural imperative. The chips overrode the clones' higher cognitive functions, forcing them to perceive their Jedi commanders as enemies of the Republic, regardless of their personal history or observed behavior. The tragic discovery by ARC Trooper CT-555 Fives in the Clone Wars Season 6 exposed this horrifying truth. When a fellow clone, Tup, experienced a chip malfunction, Fives tirelessly investigated, eventually uncovering the existence of these implants and their true purpose. Despite his desperate attempts to warn the Jedi, the conspiracy was too vast, and his warnings were dismissed, primarily due to Palpatine's manipulation and the ingrained belief that the clones were inherently loyal. Fives' sacrifice illuminated the chilling precision of Order 66, revealing it as a biological switch, not a persuasive argument. The internal conflict, or lack thereof, overriding loyalty. The activation of Order 66 unleashed a profound, often unseen, internal conflict within the clones, or, in many cases, a stark absence of conflict. For the vast majority of clone troopers, the inhibitor chip's programming was absolute. Their deeply ingrained loyalty to the Republic, combined with the chip's neural override, compelled them to turn on their Jedi generals with horrifying efficiency and a chilling lack of hesitation. Imagine years of fighting side by side, forming unbreakable bonds of camaraderie and respect, only for an unseen switch to flip within your own mind. The Jedi who had led them through countless battles, who had saved their lives and whom they had sworn to protect, suddenly became targets. This immediate shift from profound loyalty to deadly hostility demonstrates the insidious power of the chips. Many clones carried out the order with cold professionalism, their faces unreadable behind their helmets, their actions purely driven by the programmed directive. However, some clones, particularly those with strong personalities, deep bonds, or perhaps even a degree of natural resistance, experienced a terrible struggle. Captain Rex, CT-7567, is the most prominent example. Due to Fives' prior investigations, Rex was able to have his chip removed, allowing him to resist the order and remain loyal to Ahsoka. Tano. Reference: Star Wars, the Clone Wars finale arc, Victory and Death. Other instances, though rare, exist where clones either resisted due to malfunctioning chips, like Clone Commander Gregor in Star Wars Rebels, or managed to remove them, allowing them to retain their individuality and moral compass. These exceptions underscore the horror of Order 66. It wasn't a choice for most, but a forced, biological betrayal. The very notion of good soldiers follow orders, a mantra repeated throughout their training, transformed from a principle of discipline into a justification for genocide. This left many clone survivors like Rex with deep psychological scars, grappling with the knowledge of what they and their brothers were forced to do. Immediate and devastating impact: the fall of the Jedi and Republic. The execution of Order 66 was a meticulously timed and immediately devastating event that crippled the Jedi Order and triggered the swift collapse of the Galactic Republic, paving the way for Palpatine's tyrannical reign. The Jedi Purge. Within hours, the ancient Jedi Order was brought to its knees. Jedi Knights and Masters, spread across the galaxy on battlefronts, found themselves ambushed by the very clone troopers they commanded. The initial element of surprise, combined with the clones' intimate knowledge of Jedi tactics and fighting styles, proved fatal. From the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, attacked by Darth Vader and the 501st Legion, to distant planets like Magito, Volusia, and Kashyyyk, thousands of Jedi were massacred. Reference: Star Wars, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. It's estimated that over 99% of the Jedi Order was wiped out in this swift and brutal purge. Reference: Screen Rant's analysis of Jedi numbers. Republic's collapse, with the Jedi, who served as generals, strategists, and moral guardians, largely eliminated. The Republic's military and political leadership crumbled. The chaotic aftermath of Order 66 created a power vacuum that Palpatine swiftly exploited. He capitalized on the public's fear and the fabricated narrative of a Jedi rebellion to consolidate his power, declaring the Galactic Empire and himself as Emperor. The very army that had ostensibly fought to save the Republic now served as the iron fist of a new, oppressive regime. Order 66 wasn't just a military action. It was a psychological and political masterpiece designed to remove Palpatine's primary opposition, the Jedi, and establish his absolute rule without significant challenge. The programmed betrayal of the clone troopers ensured the transition from Republic to Empire was swift, decisive, and irreversible for generations. It stands as one of the darkest and most pivotal moments in galactic history, a stark reminder of how insidious a plan can be when it manipulates the very essence of loyalty. The Republic has fallen, the Jedi are shattered, and the vast, disciplined armies of clones, once symbols of democracy, now march under the iron banner of the Galactic Empire. The horrifying success of Order 66 didn't just end a war, it inaugurated a new era of control, forever changing the nature of galactic governance and its military. Palpatine's carefully orchestrated betrayal solidified his belief in programmed obedience, paving the way for the terrifying uniformity of the Imperial Stormtrooper Corps. The triumph of control, solidifying Palpatine's belief in programmed loyalty. Order 66 was, for Palpatine, the ultimate validation of his grand strategy. The instantaneous and near-total compliance of millions of clone troopers proved that a military force could be designed not just for combat, but for absolute, unquestioning loyalty that transcended personal bonds and independent thought. This unparalleled success served as the foundational principle for the burgeoning Galactic Empire's military doctrine. Palpatine, now Emperor, had seen firsthand how a hidden biological command could dismantle the Republic's greatest protectors. The inhibitor chips had turned an army of loyal defenders into an instrument of genocide overnight. This profound demonstration of control, far more reliable than mere propaganda or traditional military oaths, became the gold standard for the new Imperial Order. The Empire was to be built on absolute obedience, and the clones had shown the most effective way to achieve it. This belief manifested immediately in the restructuring of the Grand Army of the Republic into the Imperial Army. The clones, now stripped of their individual unit designations and redesignated under the unified banner of the Empire, were the first iteration of Imperial might. Their very existence was a constant, chilling reminder to the galaxy of what happens when defiance is met with unyielding force. The uniformity of their armor, once a symbol of unity, now represented the crushing conformity of the Empire, the shifting sands of control, from clones to stormtroopers. Despite their initial effectiveness, the clones were always a temporary solution for Palpatine. Their accelerated aging meant a finite lifespan, and the centralized production on Kamino represented a single point of failure. Reference: Star Wars: The Bad Batch series. Moreover, the Emperor desired a military that was not just obedient, but also inextricably tied to the populations of the myriad worlds he now controlled. This led to the gradual phasing out of clones and a strategic shift towards recruited, yet heavily indoctrinated, stormtroopers. This transition was driven by several key factors. Cost effectiveness. Cloning was incredibly expensive. Maintaining the massive Kaminoan facilities and the rapid aging process meant a constant drain on Imperial coffers. Recruiting from a vast galactic population offered a far cheaper and more sustainable alternative. Reference: Star Wars: The Bad Batch, episode Replacements. Decentralized control, relying solely on Kamino, gave the cloners immense power over the Empire's military. By shifting to recruited personnel, Palpatine decentralized troop production, making his army less vulnerable to sabotage or rebellion from a single source. The destruction of the Kaminoan cloning facilities, as seen in The Bad Batch, was a definitive step in this direction, severing the Empire's reliance on their creators. Political integration and loyalty. Perhaps most crucially, recruiting stormtroopers from diverse planets served a critical political purpose. by taking citizens from various worlds and inducting them into the Imperial military. Palpatine fostered a sense of ownership and loyalty within those populations. A planet with its sons and daughters serving in the Imperial legions was far less likely to resist the Empire. This grassroots recruitment cultivated an organic, albeit coerced, form of loyalty that complemented the programmed obedience of the clones. Elimination of defects. While the inhibitor chips worked on the vast majority, the very existence of defective clones like Clone Force 99, the Bad Batch, or those who experienced chip malfunctions like Tup and later Rex, as seen in the Clone Wars and Rebels, represented an unacceptable risk to Palpatine. A fully indoctrinated, recruited force, while potentially less genetically perfect, could be controlled through other, perhaps equally insidious, means that didn't rely on a single biological fail-safe. The Imperial Stormtrooper Corps training at facilities like the Imperial Academies, e.g. Karida Academy, reflected this shift in philosophy. While not genetically engineered for obedience, recruits underwent intense psychological conditioning. This included identity stripping. Recruits were often stripped of their names and given numerical designations, mirroring the clones' initial lack of identity. This was designed to break down individuality and foster collective loyalty to the Empire. Reference Star Wars, Imperial Handbook, A Commander's Guide. Propaganda and brainwashing, constant exposure to Imperial doctrine, xenophobic rhetoric, and unquestioning obedience to authority figures was paramount. Training focused not just on combat, but on absolute adherence to the Imperial chain of command and the belief in the Empire's new order as the sole bringer of peace and stability. Brutal discipline. Academies often employed harsh, even lethal, training methods, designed to weed out weakness and instill a ruthless efficiency. Reference the Bad Batch and various Imperial Academy lore. This ensured that even without inhibitor chips, the Imperial Stormtroopers would be fiercely loyal and relentlessly pursue the Empire's goals. The transition was a seamless evolution, adapting the initial programming philosophy of the clones to a more politically expedient and psychologically manipulative form of indoctrination, building an army that was not only loyal, but also a direct reflection of Palpatine's iron grip on the galaxy. The shadow of obedience, repercussions on the Imperial order and citizens. The long-term psychological and political repercussions of the clones' programmed obedience cast a long shadow over the new Imperial order and its citizens. Normalizing authoritarianism, the swift and total eradication of the Jedi, framed by Imperial propaganda as a necessary response to a Jedi rebellion, cemented the idea that absolute authority was necessary for galactic peace. The clones' unquestioning execution of Order 66, later echoed by the Stormtroopers, showed the populace that dissent would be met with overwhelming, ruthless force. This instilled a deep-seated fear and discouraged open rebellion for decades. Erosion of trust. While the common citizen might not have known about the inhibitor chips, the sudden and brutal betrayal of the Jedi by their own soldiers sowed a pervasive seed of distrust in the galaxy. It demonstrated that even the most trusted figures could be turned, contributing to a climate of paranoia and suspicion that served the Empire's control. Imperial justification for ruthlessness. The success of Order 66 provided a chilling template for Imperial operations. The idea that good soldiers follow orders, even horrific ones, became an unwritten law. This mentality permeated the Imperial military, justifying atrocities and unquestioning loyalty to the Emperor. This is a crucial element, differentiating the Empire from the Old Republic. The Empire operated on fear and control, mirroring the ultimate control Palpatine exerted over his first army. The dehumanization of the soldier. The transition from clones to stormtroopers completed the dehumanization of the soldier. While clones were often individualized in the Clone Wars, stormtroopers were intentionally made anonymous, faceless, and interchangeable. Their white armor became a uniform of oppression, a stark contrast to the individual markings and personalities that many clone units once displayed. This anonymity served to distance the individual soldier from their actions, reinforcing the idea of a vast, unfeeling Imperial machine. In essence, the success of Order 66 was not just a single event, it was the ultimate lesson in totalitarian control for Palpatine. It taught him that the most effective way to rule a galaxy was through an army whose loyalty was guaranteed either by biological imperative or by the systematic eradication of free will. The legacy of the clones' programmed obedience thus became the grim foundation upon which the Galactic Empire was built, a testament to the devastating power of mind over matter, orchestrated by a single, malevolent will. The roar of blasters has faded, the Jedi temples lie in ruins, and the meticulously engineered loyalty of the clone troopers, once the very backbone of the Republic, became the instrument of its demise. Order 66 wasn't just a military maneuver. It was a profound, galaxy-shaking event whose echoes of indoctrination would reverberate for generations, forever altering the perception of military forces and the very nature of trust in a galactic government. A shattered trust, the legacy on galactic perceptions. Imagine waking up one day to find that the very protectors you lauded, the heroes you cheered, had become the executioners of your revered peacekeepers. That's the reality the average galactic citizen faced in the immediate aftermath of Order 66. The sudden, swift betrayal of the Jedi by the clones, framed by Palpatine's masterful propaganda as a necessary response to a Jedi coup, had a devastating and long-lasting impact on galactic trust. Before Order 66, the clones were seen as selfless warriors embodying the Republic's ideals. They were a unified force, untainted by greed or political ambition. They were, in the public eye, truly good soldiers. But their instantaneous turn fundamentally shattered this perception. How could an army so loyal suddenly become so ruthless? Even without knowing the truth of the inhibitor chips, the sheer scale and cold efficiency of the Jedi Purge instilled a deep-seated fear and suspicion of any large, centralized military force. This legacy directly influenced the Imperial approach to governance. The clones, now rebranded as the initial wave of Imperial stormtroopers, became a terrifying symbol of the Emperor's absolute power and control. Their white armor, once a beacon of hope, transformed into an omnipresent reminder of conformity and oppression. Reference: Star Wars Rebels, The Bad Batch. This visual and psychological shift was deliberate. The Empire leveraged the clones' reputation for unwavering obedience to enforce its will, projecting an image of unassailable authority. The public's unease with a genetically engineered army also contributed to Palpatine's pivot. While clones were highly effective, the optics of relying on a mass-produced, potentially inhuman force became less appealing as the Empire sought to integrate citizens more directly into its structure. This fostered a climate where individual loyalty to the Empire was demanded rather than simply programmed. The transition to recruited stormtroopers, drawn from every corner of the galaxy, was partly a public relations exercise, creating the illusion that the Imperial military was truly the People's Army, despite the intense, often brutal indoctrination they underwent. Reference: Star Wars Imperial Handbook, A Commander's Guide. The galactic memory of Order 66 instilled a pervasive fear. Could such betrayal happen again? Could any military be truly trusted? This fundamental questioning of allegiances became a quiet, enduring scar on galactic society, a testament to the devastating power of a single programmed command. Echoes of free will, philosophical questions, and enduring debates. The story of the clone troopers, particularly the mechanism of Order 66, raises profound philosophical questions that continue to resonate within the Star Wars universe and beyond. Free will versus destiny. Were clones truly individuals, capable of choice, or were they merely biological automatons fulfilling a pre-programmed destiny? Figures like ARC, Trooper 5's CT-5555, who actively fought against his programming and sacrificed himself to reveal the truth, become powerful symbols of defiance against a predetermined fate. Reference: Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Season 6, Orders. His struggle and the subsequent efforts of clones like Captain Rex, CT-7567-7, and Commander Wolffer to remove their chips and reclaim their agency ignited a debate about the very nature of consciousness and sentience. Can a being truly be held accountable for actions compelled by an internal override? The ethics of genetic manipulation, the Kaminoans' role in creating the clone army, and specifically their complicity in implanting the inhibitor chips, brings the ethical implications of advanced genetic engineering into sharp focus. Is it moral to create sentient life solely for warfare, to live and die for a cause they never chose? The short, intense lives of the clones, coupled with their engineered obsolescence due to accelerated aging, pose unsettling questions about the value of life when it is manufactured for a single, destructive purpose. This serves as a cautionary tale within the Star Wars narrative about the dangers of playing God with life itself. The nature of loyalty. If loyalty can be genetically predisposed and chemically enforced, what does that say about genuine allegiance? The Jedi had placed immense trust in their clone commanders, forming deep personal bonds. Reference Obi-Wan Kenobi and Commander Cody, Anakin Skywalker, and Captain Rex. Order 66 shattered these relationships, forcing a re-evaluation of what constitutes true trust and allegiance in the galaxy. It argues that authentic loyalty must be earned through shared experience and mutual respect, not through a surgical implant. These questions, initially confined to the Clone Wars era, persist as a crucial backdrop for the entire Imperial era, constantly reminding characters and audiences of the moral complexities at the heart of the galaxy's darkest period. A continuing narrative, their evolving role in Star Wars media. The impact of the clone troopers didn't end with the Republic. Their story, and the philosophical questions they embody, continues to be explored and expanded upon in recent Star Wars media, proving their enduring relevance to the overarching narrative. In the early days of the Empire, remaining clones, particularly those who served as trainers, continued to play a role in the formation of the Imperial Stormtrooper Corps. Series like Star Wars: The Bad Batch directly explore the immediate aftermath of Order 66, showcasing clones like Hunter, Wrecker, Tech, Echo, and Omega grappling with their altered reality. It delves into the Empire's systematic dismantling of the cloning program, replacing clones with recruited, mass-trained stormtroopers to eliminate any potential for disobedience. Reference: The Bad Batch Season 1 and 2. This series vividly portrays the clones' struggle for identity and survival in a galaxy that no longer needs them, or, more accurately, fears their inherent capacity for individuality. Further into the Imperial era, characters like Captain Rex re-emerge in Star Wars Rebels, having removed his inhibitor chip and joined the nascent rebellion. Rex becomes a living testament to the possibility of defying indoctrination, serving as a bridge between the heroic past of the Republic and the fight for freedom against the Empire. His presence underscores the idea that even those designed for control can choose a different path, highlighting the enduring power of genuine free will. Even in later timelines, the legacy of the clones and the terrifying efficiency of Order 66 remains a chilling precedent. They are a narrative touchstone, a powerful symbol of how easily good intentions can be twisted into instruments of tyranny. Their story ensures that audiences never forget the ultimate cost of a war fought by programmed soldiers and the long, hard road required to rebuild trust in a galaxy forever scarred by the ultimate betrayal. The echoes of their indoctrination will forever sound across the stars, a somber melody of a promise broken and a galaxy irrevocably changed.